and we're hearing from the governor on his ideas for how to move the state forward when it comes to a budget. But of course, you cannot talk about the budget without talking about Comptroller Susana Mendoza, because she's the one writing the checks, paying the bills, and deciding who gets paid during this impasse and figuring out who's in line next to get their paycheck from the state. So what can you tell us right now about the fiscal state of Illinois?
Well, it got significantly worse today. So now we are looking, the last time we spoke, I think we were at about $11.2 billion in backlog debt. As of today, we're at closer to $11.9 billion in bills that we have yet to pay. Upwards of $700 million in late payment interest penalties. That is money that taxpayers in Illinois will never ever recover. It's money that will never be invested in a single human being or any type of infrastructure, any type of job creation programs, or any type of social service provider program. And so it's just a complete burn and waste of taxpayer money. Every day that goes by without a balanced budget, taxpayers are on the hook for an additional $2 million or more in late payment interest penalties. It's unconscionable, and when's it going to stop?
That trend hasn't changed since we spoke at the State of the State address. It hasn't changed since you've taken office.
It's getting worse.
And frankly, for years now, it hasn't changed. But was there anything that you heard from the governor today, or the reaction from lawmakers on either side of the aisle, that leads you to believe we're seeing a turnaround coming shortly, if not already? Is there momentum? Is there solid legislation that is exciting you? Is there anything you heard today to indicate a change?
So the only thing I wanted to hear today is what the Constitution says today is all about. And that's clearly articulated in Article 8, Section 2, that says the governor shall prepare and submit to the General Assembly a balanced budget proposal. That did not happen today. It didn't happen in 2015 or in 2016. This is unconscionable. We are now going into a third year officially with the governor failing to perform his most basic constitutional duty of introducing a balanced budget proposal. Now, I have a 4-year-old at home. He knows his ABCs in the order that they're supposed to go, A, B, C, in 2 languages, English and Spanish. But A, the equivalent of that in the legislature, is the governor presenting a balanced budget proposal to the General Assembly. B is the General Assembly doing their job per the Constitution of actually passing a balanced budget. C and D you could equate to the treasurer and myself. You know, the treasurer getting to invest the state's money and the controller getting to pay the state's bills on a timely basis. But it starts like this, just like the alphabet, A, B, C, D, not B, C, D, A. And the governor needs to show up and do his job.
Jordan, you were sitting in on that budget briefing after. $4.7 billion is the difference between spending and what they're taking in or expecting for this next budget. But they did call it something where I think Republicans are going to say this is a balanced budget if we get around. So let's look at this from the other side and see how they balance that out.
Yeah, so they're saying that they want to grow the economy, that there will be reforms, and then new revenues as part of the grand bargain. Is the rhetoric coming from your office helping to get a grand bargain?
I would say that what my office is articulating is not a Democratic opinion or a Republican opinion. It's just a factual reading of the Illinois State Constitution. And that should be respected by this administration or any administration. It's really completely unpolitical because it is the Constitution that says that, not me as an individual. All I'm doing is trying to educate the public as to what the Constitution says, given that the governor has either chosen to not read it or, more importantly and worse off, not abide by it. And so I think that he has an obligation to the taxpayers in this state to begin the healing process. Today was supposed to be about that. He's had 3 years to do it, and instead our economy has never been worse off. Taxpayers across the state of Illinois are suffering. I would argue that we're not just in the red in ink, but actually in blood. People have lost their lives as a result of this budget impasse, and every day that goes by without a budget is impacting people in a way that maybe the governor is just not connected to. But as a controller, I hear these stories all the time. In Springfield, state employees are getting rejected for medical coverage. They're being denied medical services. They have to pay for half of their costs up front. In Carbondale, I was just there last week, people are being outright denied medical services if they are state employees with health insurance that they've paid full premiums for, right? This is getting worse and worse every day. If you're a cancer patient who relies on chemotherapy, how are you going to feel when the doctors tell you, if you're a state employee, we won't accept your insurance, you're out of luck? This is truly costing lives, and it really needs to stop.
We're going to keep the controller around for another section here. We appreciate your time as
Sure.
always. We have a whole lot more to come up with the 2017 budget special. Representative Tom Demmer and Greg Harris will join us later in this show, but coming up we'll talk about the way forward with what we have right now. Stay with us on News Channel 20.